Okay, I didn't get to do one of these last week. I've been dealing with this medical problem that's been going on for about 3 weeks now. It seems like, well, a little bit longer even maybe. But I was out in this rainstorm, I'm going to say about 3 weeks ago, and it was one of those heavy, hardcore rainstorms, where even with the rain hood on and tied together and all that, there was just no holding on to it. Hood blew back. I got pelted in the face with a lot of rain, and I'm guessing that's where it started because the following day I had a lot of chills and I had a sore throat, and it didn't feel like a cold, and I've survived two severe cases of COVID, and I knew it wasn't that. But at night I was getting chills and things like that, and I went to the doctor and was told that I had what they call a middle ear infection. I didn't even know that there was such a thing as a middle ear, but apparently there is. I just thought there was an inner ear and that was an outer ear, But anyway, I was given a round of antibiotics and some ear drops, and then I started feeling better after it was over with. And then about a week later, I started feeling like crap again, and I had to go back to the doctor and be told that it's not completely healed up yet, and I had to start another round of antibiotics and another round of ear drops, and I'm beginning to feel like that this is going to go on for the rest of my life, and it's never going to get any better. But that was part of what delayed me last week. I just was kind of under the weather, and I wasn't at my best, and I'm still not quite at my best, 100%. Um, but there is a couple of topics that I've got in the works. I just don't have the material in front of me right now. There's something going on with the cable lines, even though it is the 4th of July, but I've been having kind of shaky internet problems all day long today, even though I don't think anybody's working on the cable lines on July the 4th, but who knows? I wasn't going to sit down and start a video with some material about the way AA goes after professional people who try to write criticisms of the program and smears and destroys them, but I did find a letter to the Orange Papers on the Orange Papers website where someone was asking about that. Why is it no professionals ever come out against AA? And I've talked about that here on this channel before, the way that AA is handled with kid gloves and things of that nature. And it appears that if you're a professional doctor, or someone whose medical opinion is respected, AA has used smear campaigns to destroy people like that. I don't have the specific examples in front of me because shaky internet. So this week I thought I would do something kind of lighthearted, kind of, sort of, but not really what I would call lighthearted. But it's not a whole bunch of research behind it. It's a personal story. I've told a few on here before, but somebody who's a subscriber left a comment not too long ago that with my voice or with whatever it is, that I could probably have a successful career in sales. Well, like I said before about politics, there is no chance in hell I would ever want to do that. But I have an experience that wasn't exactly sales, but close to it. It wasn't as bad as the movie Glengarry Glen Ross. I can't say that twice in a row, by the way, which, by the way, if you've never seen it, it's a film not a lot of people have seen. It doesn't seem like. It's on Netflix, and if you like a dialogue-driven drama where there's a lot of tenseness in a situation, but it's not an action movie, and it's not a fast-paced kind of film. It's all dialogue-driven, but there's a lot of underlying, I think, commentary about what people do for money. But anyway, I'm not going to give a critical analysis on that. If you got nothing to do on the 4th of July and you got Netflix, maybe you want to check it out. Uh, but at one period in my life, I during a particular layoff unemployment type period, I had been on a very bad drunken bender. Now, to give you an idea how long ago this was, you'll figure this out in a second. I had filled out an application. This was in the days when you could still go into a place and fill out a paper application. That ought to tell you it's been a while because everything now is online, of course. But I filled this application out, and I didn't realize at the time because the name of the company was some name that you'd never heard of before, but it was located in one of these big, fancy kind of office building kind of places. And the newspaper article at the time, the newspaper ad at the time, it was an online newspaper ad, but it was talking about tech support work. And I had a little bit of experience with that, so I thought, if I could run printing presses with computers and at the time Macs and things like that, maybe I could do this. It was one of those things that I just was desperate for a job, and I filled it out, and I got a phone call about it at an interview, but they were purposely vague, and they weren't even, doing like a normal company. They weren't talking about background checks. They weren't talking about drug tests, which didn't bother me, although at the time I didn't actually have a bad background. Um, but I had been on a bad drunken bender, and I had gone to a meeting, and I had picked up a white chip, and everybody was telling me, what are you going to do different this time? What are you going to do different this time? Are you going to get in the book this time, or are you going to get a sponsor this time? Even though I had gotten in the book the previous 30 or 40 times, and I had had sponsors the previous times, and I had been going to meetings every day the previous times, but, you know how the AA thing goes. What are you going to do different this time? Well, since AA never gives you any tools to do anything different, you're going to do the same old shit you've been doing since you've gone to AA. But I got called and I got hired, and I said something to the sponsor I had at the time. He wasn't as bad as the one I referred to as the fat pile of shit sponsor on here, but he was one of those AA assholes. I don't think I have to do a whole lot of explaining about the type of person he was, but he was like, whoa, you come off a bad bender, and you get a call to work for a tech company in the first week, and you don't believe that there's a God. You don't believe there's coincidence. You don't see the hand of God in that. No, not really. The world goes on whether you're drinking or not drinking. If you're drunk in your life and falls apart like mine was known to do, and I would go on very bad benders, naturally things aren't going to work in your favor. But what he was engaging in here is something I did a whole entire video on. It's a post hoc fallacy. The only reason the sun is rising in the morning is because the rooster's crowing. If something happens and the rooster doesn't crow, the sun won't rise. It's the same kind of faulty thinking. If you say to somebody, well, you decide to quit drinking for the upteenth time and you get a tech support job and it must be AA higher power, even though AA higher power can be whatever you want to be, and there are no absolutes in AA, they still appoint themselves as spokesperson for God whenever it suits them. Like I've said on here before, they want it both ways. You can believe in whatever you want when they say you can believe in whatever you want. But when it comes to hardcore program shit, then all of a sudden you can't believe whatever you want. You have to listen to them, because after all, they are channels, mediums for AA God, I guess. Or at least they've appointed themselves to be. And what special talent do they have? What special skill set do they have that makes them an oracle, a person who can hear voices from beyond the grave from AA God? They didn't drink in a long time. Anyway, sponsor threw it around at everybody at this particular group I was going to at the time, and they were all saying the same thing. Yeah, that's the hand of God. That's the hand of God. You got a tech support job after you come off a bender. That doesn't happen to people like you. You need to be grateful. You need to be on your knees. You need to be... I was like, well, if I'd have walked into that job interview and got on my knees, I don't think it would have worked. But anyway, well, I take it. And I find out that I'm doing something for a cable company, but we're not officially working for the cable company. What we are is kind of, like I said, we're like this satellite office that's kind of considered an independent contractor. Seems kind of shady because it is shady. I'd never had any experience with this type of thing, but I sat through the training and everything, and I was told, basically I was doing first line troubleshooting when someone called me on the phone and they said, hey, my cable box isn't working and I've rebooted it, and can you send a signal or something like that? That was generally kind of the thing I handled. It didn't involve some major expertise, some major troubleshooting on my end. If it got any worse, I would bump them up a tier. Normally it was stuff I could fix, but there was a caveat to all of this. I was told that the cable company was sending out massive letters to all the customers in the particular region that we were handling. And these customers were being informed through these letters, to give you again, this has been a while back. When's the last time you've heard of mass communication through letters, and when's the last time you've heard of analog television? Because that's what the letters were about. It was telling the customers, guess what? Good news, although it's not good news. Give you a hint about that. Anytime a corporation, which its primary goal is to charge you a lot of money, tells you there's good news, there's a catch. I don't remember where it was I heard that line. I'm going to tell you a tale and it's not going to cost you a dime. And if you believe that, we're going to get along just fine. It was one of those kind of situations. But how this worked, how this situation was supposed to work, I have no idea who thought this would be a good idea. somebody calls me on the phone and they say, I can't get my television to work. And I'm supposed to tell them, rather than just get on the ball with it and say, well, let me see what I can do to get your TV working, I got to say, by the way, while I got you on the phone, did you get that letter that we've been sending out? And 99% of the time, these people are already pissed off because, yeah, they got the letter. They're like, yeah, I got that damn letter, but that's not what's important right now. What's important is I need my television to work or my computer to work or whatever it was. Well, that was the point where I had to tell them that, yeah, if you got any analog television, you're losing it. But there's good news. We're going to send you a free cable box and free adapters for additional television. You won't have to pay a thing. That's bullshit, by the way. And it's not going to cost you anything, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Well, I found out, of course, right away that was a lie. But we weren't supposed to worry about that because I was told by management, you don't work for the cable company. Who are these people to you? What does it matter? Just tell them what you got to tell them. And of course, I was also told that if you ever get a tap on your shoulder at your desk, that's a bad sign. You don't want the dreaded tap on the shoulder. It's like something out of some horror movie, right? You know, if you get the tap on the shoulder, you'll die, I guess. But anyway, I answered a few customer questions, and I told them the truth when they said, look, they said, I'm not really that gung-ho about switching over. You're forcing me to switch over, even though I don't want to. I just need to know, am I being charged for this? Like, maybe not right now, but am I being charged in the future for this? And of course, being a dumbass like I was, I told them the truth. Well, actually, yeah, they're going to charge you in about a year from now. You're going to see an increase in your bill. And I got the dreaded tap on my shoulder, and I was taken up to the office, and I was told that if I wanted to continue working for this shitty satellite office of a company, then I wasn't going to do that any longer. Well, it was bothering me because I had people who were calling me up on limited incomes. Had people calling me up saying, I don't really like this cable system anyway any longer, and you're telling me I got to get this stuff, and this stuff is free. There's got to be a catch. I'm expected to lie. At the time, I was in a toxic family situation. I was living with a toxic family member, and by the way, at the time that I got the job, I got the same kind of talking to from the toxic family members I did the AA people. God got you this job. This is a step up in the world for you. Don't you dare fuck it up, even though you like fucking things up because you are a fucking useless, worthless drunk, and you'll always be a useless, worthless drunk. I bet you're not even sober right now. At the time that this started to really turn south for me, or turn sour, I guess, is the word I'm looking for, I had about 27 days of sobriety. And of course, everybody was on my shoulder telling me how this is a step up for you. It is a step up for me. Yeah, I'm sitting in a cubicle all day long versus breaking my back in a printing factory, or like I did for a while driving a cab, or a couple of other hard-ass jobs I've had, but I don't feel that this is a step up. It's not paying me thousands of dollars, and I'm lying to people all day long. But of course, you have to listen to what AA people tell you. You have to listen to what the voice of God is telling you. I don't hear anything in my head that sounds like the voice of God. Unless you want to count that little voice in my head that's saying, I really don't feel good about telling these people your cable bill is not going to go up, knowing it's going to go up. I didn't feel good about that. But anyway, I'm going to say about 40 days into it. The story ends at 60 days, by the way. This is a 60-day sobriety tale. This lady calls me on the phone one day. I'm having a bad day. And of course, I've got 45 days sober, and I haven't drank, and I'm being told everybody. I'm not being, by the way, the only thing I'm getting from everybody is, don't you dare fuck this up. You're a fucking useless drunk. Just like everybody, just like all these other fucking useless drunks, and you better not fuck this up. I mean, it's on your ass if you fuck this up. That's what I'm hearing at home, and it's what I'm hearing at AA meetings from sponsors and their cronies and all this other kind of stuff. I get this phone call from this lady, and immediately I start talking about the letter, and she's like, well, there is something I need to talk to you about while I got you on the phone. I don't know if you can help me with this, but I can't keep paying this cable bill. And I'm not a billing department, but at the time, they changed that shortly after. I did have access to a screen. For all of you out here watching this, if you've ever worked in a call center, you know what I'm talking about. You got maybe 20 screens, it felt like. Well, back then anyway, you had 20 screens open in front of you with a million different things to fill out. And 90% of the time while you're having a conversation with somebody, you're typing on about 9 different screens at once because you're being timed and all this other bullshit. But anyway, I couldn't really do anything. I had to tell her first off, well, I'm a troubleshooting department, ma'am, and I can't really do anything about billing. She's like, well, while I got you on the phone, would you mind taking a look? I just can't keep paying this cable bill. I mean, she's like, I live on a limited income and there's not a lot I can do about it. I just won't be able to continue. This is too steep for me. And I decided to pull up the billing page. I could actually access that on my end, and I pulled it up, and she was paying quite a lot, a substantial amount. I don't remember how much it was now because this was 2007, 2008, but I noticed something strange here. She's got HBO 1 through 50, Cinemax 1 through whatever. She's got Stars. She's got the movie channel. She's got the fucking, she's got every kind of premium package you can imagine on here. And I wasn't technically supposed to do anything at this point. I'm technically supposed to tell her, well, I can transfer you over to billing. Or I was supposed to tell her about the letter and these adapters that are free of charge, of course, which are not free of charge. I didn't want to do that. There was a little part of me, I says, well, I'm going to ask, can I ask you a question, is what I told her. How many people live with you? And she said, I live by myself. And I said, how much television do you watch? I mean, I was taught in training to engage with a customer, to become personal with the customer. I was taught that. I was just using my fucking training, right? Oh, she said, I watch, she said at night I watch Wheel of Fortune, and I watch the Home and Garden channel. And it was like, you watch Wheel of Fortune, and you watch the Home and Garden channel. And you have got, I was thinking to myself, I started to say, what the fuck, but I couldn't do that on the phone. I said, may I ask you a question? Why did you purchase all these premium packages? Why did you purchase all these premium channels? Do you have grandchildren that come and see you that have to watch the television? Do you have family, who comes and sees you? I mean, what's the specific reason that you've got these many packages on your account? And she said, well, when I signed up for cable through this company, didn't want to tell her I don't work for the cable company. I'm a satellite scam office at this point. But she said they told me that the only way I could watch Home and Garden channel and Wheel of Fortune, or she said channel whatever it was, I don't remember, is if I bought all those channels. Now, I was already fed up with this bullshit. I was already fed up with this place. And I told her, well, I don't know if I can make an alteration on your bill from my end. I don't know if I have permissions to do that. I don't know if an error message is going to pop up. At this point, I'm just talking. I'm not sticking to any script. I said, I don't know if it's going to pop up an error message when I try to do this or not, but I'm going to give something a shot. Let me put you on hold. Well, let me hop over here into this screen and let me see what I can do. Luckily, I had probably a fuck up on their part, but I had access to the billing screen out of these multiple screens that are all over the computer in front of me. And I just started downgrading the package. I got her a very, very, very basic package. I reduced the bill by a large amount. And I wrapped the call up with her, and she thanked me and all that other kind of thing. And then I get this little tap on my shoulder again. I've already had this dreaded tap on the shoulder, by the way, 3 or 4 times in the past 2 months. I was told when I got to the office, I was given a piece of paper to sign, and I was told I was on a final written warning that if I fucked up anything again, I was going to be terminated. That I had done, that they were listening the whole time I was talking to her, and they couldn't fucking believe that I had done that. They couldn't believe I violated several company policies by accessing the billing screen, which I wasn't supposed to even have access to. But I was lectured like I was the worst human being on earth, right, for this. The strain of this was starting to really get to me at this point, But I went home that evening and I told my family member what was going on, and I was told, just like your fucking father, just a failure, just a drunken failure and a bum, just like your fucking father. This is not my mother, by the way. It's not my mother in this video. It's a family member, a toxic family member, but that's what I was told. I went to AA. And I told the AA member, the sponsor I had, and his little cronies, when we were standing around in the meeting after the meeting, I says, look, this job is just not for me, okay? I can't do this. Okay, I'm not some fucking saint. I'm not some fucking paragon of virtue, but I just don't feel right telling these people their bills aren't going up when they're going to go up. And I damn sure I don't feel right seeing this lady paying all this money for a cable package that she's not even using. I don't feel right doing this. I just don't think this is not for me, okay? Is what I was saying at the time to them, because after all, in those days, I was a naive moron, and I actually trusted these fucking assholes in AA. I actually trusted them and thought they were my friends. What a bad mistake that was. If there's any advice you get from this little story, don't trust AA people. Well, you can imagine what I was told, and you can imagine what kind of admonishment I got. I got scolded. I got told that this was all just my ego. Right. It's just your ego. There can't be any nuances. There can't be any possible motivations or reasonings outside of this. It's just my ego. I only did that so I could feel good about myself. Well, you know what's really funny is when I did that, I wasn't feeling good about myself. When I did that, I was actually thinking, how the fuck did I end up working for a shit company like this? There was a part of me thinking, how the fuck do I get out of something like this? Why did I take this fucking job? I wasn't feeling powerful about myself, but that's what the AA people all told me. You know, you just did it. All alcoholics are incapable of doing anything for anyone unless it makes them feel good, you know. And my sponsor said, I wouldn't have given a fuck. I wouldn't have given a fuck if she was paying all that money. Why? Why should you care? You don't really care. You're only doing it to feel good about yourself. That's the problem about you alcoholics. You're all sick. We're all sick in AA. And I was thinking, no. You know, that's not the situation here. That is not what's going on. And of course, I was told by the family member when I got home, you know, the same shit. You're a loser like your father was. You know, well, my father may have had a lot wrong with him, but you know what? Being a fucking lowlife crook or being a fucking bullying asshole was not one of his problems. You know, he may have had mental issues. He may have done some very complicated things that I can't really explain on here without taking a few hours to go through my entire life, which nobody wants to fucking hear, and I don't want to talk about it anyway. But one thing he wasn't a mean-spirited, bullying lowlife like these people were. Well, I put up with it for about another week, and I just finally stopped caring altogether. I just couldn't take the pressure any longer. I couldn't take the notes that kept coming on my desk every morning. You're not convincing people to go. You see, we were telling people you can get adapters for your televisions to go from analog to digital. But now they weren't happy with that anymore. You weren't supposed to tell them free adapters. You were supposed to tell them free cable boxes. Well, guess what? If I gave you 3 cable boxes, your bill was going to quadruple. I finally just couldn't take it anymore. I quit. And at the time that I had almost quit, well, right before I quit, I had a conversation with this particular family member that I was living with. I feel this is important. I said, I'm in a situation that I can't fucking get out of, okay? Because I owe everybody walking and turning. I owe everybody, right? Every paycheck I'm getting is a paycheck that's going right out the window to somebody else. I don't know what to fucking do because I can't keep doing this job. I just cannot keep doing this. I can't keep fucking lying to people like this. It's bothering me. I get told by them after I talk to them for about 8 or 9, well, not 8 or 9 hours, but I talk to them from about 4 o'clock in the evening until about late at night. And they said, well, you could pay me back. You could pay me back, but I could give you enough money to pay your bills for 1 month. If you hit the streets and get another job, we can work out something. I said, if you do that for me, okay, if you do that for me, I can go in there and quit tomorrow morning. But if you're not going to do that for me, I can't necessarily just walk in there and quit. I can give them notice, and I can hope I can find something else. But I can't just walk in there tomorrow morning and quit. And trust me, I'll do that for you. I'll do it. I think you're wrong for what you're doing. I think you're terrible for what you're doing. And I hope you don't end up drunk again. But I'll do that one time for you. That's the kind of person I am. Okay. I even... because there was a part of me that was really worried about this, and I said, now I'm telling you, I can't walk in there tomorrow morning and tell these people I'm quitting unless you're really going to do that for me. I will pay you back. Whatever the next job I get, I will do that. I'm going to do what I said I was going to do, you know. So I walked in there and I quit. They weren't sorry to see me go. I mean, I wasn't exactly Glenn Ross. I wasn't exactly a lead person there, but I quit. It was such a tremendous relief to be out of that. But I thought, well, you know, I got home that night. Same family member looked at me and they said, I didn't exactly promise that I was going to give you anything. Now I start feeling terrified because I got bills due in a couple of days. I never promised you anything. I'm not going to. I'm not going to do it for you. I mean, you had the nerve to come to me and tell me you can't. You know, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do that for you at all. I mean, how dare you ask me for that? And by the way, if you can't come up with $500 that you pay me every month in a couple of days, I'm putting you out on the street because you're a drunk and a failure and a loser, right? I got to AA and I was told the same thing. I was told that this was all my own fault, that this was my ego, that this was me deliberately trying to fail in life because I'm a sick alcoholic who doesn't want to succeed at anything. I was told that I needed to make amends to the fucking company. Yeah, actually told that. You should go to that manager tomorrow and make amends. If he'll even let you in the door, which I wouldn't let you. I'm not going to a fucking corporate office and tell some fucking crook who tells me that I'm going to get fired for saving an old lady on her cable bill. I'm not telling him no such goddamn thing. How out of touch with reality are you? Do you really think security in one of these corporate offices is going to let me in after I just handed him my ID badge? You really think I'm going to walk up there? Hey, I got to come in here a minute. You see, this is important business. This is God. You see, fucking weirdos making decisions about my life. You know, I will say this. I was right on the cusp of 60 days when all this happened. I didn't make day 61. Now, I walked into the liquor store a couple of days later, and the guy behind the counter, he said, hey, I haven't seen you in a while. Where you been? And I said, oh, you know, I've been busy. I haven't had a chance to stop by, but you got my bottles for me like you normally do. And he said, right here waiting for you just like ever. And I was like, I've got friends in the world. The guy behind the fucking liquor store counter. But anyway, I didn't go off on a bender that time, but I did end up getting pretty trashed after the whole thing was over. And I did end up getting pushed out of the place where I was living with that particular family member. And yeah, and it was all because of ego, according to AA. It was because I was a sick alcoholic that I didn't want to do this. But anyway, since I don't have my files in front of me this week to outline some of the topics I wanted to talk about, I thought I would tell you that little personal story about a 60-day odyssey and being told that it's my ego that I didn't want to be crooked to people. So in response to my subscriber, now, I wouldn't make a good salesman. Let me know in the comments some stories you might have had about, little 60-day forays into getting sober, or a little 30-day or 90 days or whatever the fuck. Anyway, taking advice from AA people is the worst thing that you could possibly do. If your heart is bothering you, or your conscience is bothering you, or you're thinking to yourself that something doesn't feel right, nobody has a right to tell you that you have to do it. Nobody has a right to tell you that you have to go against what's bothering you. And I'm not, again, I want to clarify this. I'm not saying this as some virtuous Sir Thomas More type figure who would rather lose his head because of his bizarre conscience or something like that. I'm just saying, learn to trust your own instincts. Learn to trust your own conscience. Don't let fucking cult members do it for you, because they don't give you good advice anyway, and they don't care about you. Care about yourself. Until next week.